So if it's really buggy, the other benefit of this is you just zip it up around your face. All right, that was funny. Hey guys, welcome to our tour finally. So this is Kodiak, and she is a RAM Promaster 2500 2017, and she's got just a little bit less than 50,000 miles on her. So before we do a tour of the outside, we're actually going to go inside and do that part first. So come on in. So first we're going to talk about the cab, which is not super exciting, but I will say that one of the reasons that I picked the RAM Promaster was due to the comfort of the driving a lot of people talk about. It sits up very high, and that is one reason that this seat actually does have the swivel on it, but I did not do that with the driver's side because I didn't want to be sitting up too high. I'm only like 5'4", so not super tall. So one of the things as being an older van lifer, if you will, is that I have tailbone issues. So I had to get good padding for the seats. So they are like a pleather and they're not super comfortable. So I actually got these cushions that are on Amazon and they're super comfortable. I ended up getting one for the passenger side as well, just so on long trips, whoever's with me would also be comfortable. So many of you might already know, but the RAM Promaster has built-in storage above the cab, which is super cool. I essentially have kept like my window covers up here, and then right now I have a basket with like hats and gloves and things like that. And then I also kept my towels and like my swimsuit, just basically extra blankets, things like that. So for privacy, I don't have covers that cover all the windows in the front. I do have like, you know, a silver cover for the front to keep some of the heat out. But instead I just chose to wall off essentially the entire cab with blackout curtains. So they're black on one side and then tan on the other, and they're really hefty, honestly. They're from Amazon and they were a little bit pricey, but definitely worth it because I think they feel they just feel kind of elegant and they make the space nice, but they also do really truly black out all the light. So obviously there's two panels, and then I just pull the whole thing shut like that at night, and it blocks off the entire back from the front. When you're designing a van, it's really important that you have enough storage, but also you really want to think through like, where are you going to eat, and or how are you going to use this space? So for me, it was really important to have desk space and like somewhere to work. And so I opted to do an entire bench because I also wanted to be able to take a second person with me and have them be able to have a place to sleep. So this bench, I actually made all these cushions, and Craig made this beautiful table, which is on a lagoon mount, but technically it's just a generic lagoon mount. Something else that's like another tip for when you design a van or you're doing van life is you can actually just take cushion covers and put your things in them. So these actually have like my coats and jackets in them, which actually make them like really heavy. They're not super comfy to like you're not gonna be cuddling up with them or anything, but they hide my other things beautifully. All right, so this is pretty simple to take off. Just kind of like loosen it up, and then that part comes off of there. When you're traveling with someone and then somebody's sleeping on the bench, you have to take the table off because of the way that we designed the bench to be a second bed. And so I'll show you that next. It actually has this flap here, and you just lift it, and then these little legs come out, and then I pull these cushions out like this, and then these tuck down right inside here. And then you got yourself a second bed. And I slept on here, like when Craig and I went to Texas, I slept here and he slept on the bigger bed. And I'm 5'4", and this will, like, you can see how I fit on it. So it probably could sleep like maybe 5'6" if you put your like pillow up here. I think you'd be fine. But the cushion is really comfortable. So I think this worked out really well. I'm very happy with it because then you get that second bed, but then it's also a nice bench to sit on. So next, let's talk about the kitchen. This was actually the first piece that I purchased for the van. So obviously I got the van, but then the very first thing I bought was this piece off of Marketplace, and it was a bathroom vanity, but we ended up cutting it down so that it would fit exactly in this space here. And I ended up finding a bar sink. I think that was also on Marketplace. It was actually in Pittsburgh, so I had my daughter go drive down there, like, you know, drive and go pick it up for me. It works really well. And then the faucet is from Amazon, and it is kind of like a tinier faucet than oftentimes you'll see people that have like the big regular standard faucet. But what I like about this one is that it folds down. You also could put it outside if you wanted to have access to water outside. So next I'll show you our plumbing that we did. We went with a simple style plumbing, and there is a specific reason that I wanted to do it this way. Essentially, I've got a 5-gallon tank for the clean water, and then I've got a 5-gallon extra, so you could have up to 10 gallons of water with you at one time. And then the gray water is only 2.5 gallons, I think. And the reason that I wanted it small and only 2.5 gallons is because I want to be able to empty it like in a toilet, whether I'm at a gas station or at McDonald's or something like that. So one of the nice things about this particular unit is that it does have the soft close on it, which honestly works fine. For my trips that I've done from like Pennsylvania to Texas and then back, it really, I think a drawer only came out once, but it was something super heavy in it down there. So as long as, like this top one, I just have silverware, and like it's kind of a junk drawer mixed with my silverware. And then the second one is like all my cloths, washcloths, and a couple pots that I literally have never used in here. And then the third one down is, yeah, bags and some miscellaneous batteries and some other little things. Very well organized around here. And then this cabinet, it holds all of my appliances for the kitchen and what I use to cook with. So I will show you that for all the time that I spent in here. So I lived in this van from January to like April, and I literally just made all of my meals in this pot. It's just electric, plugs in right there, and you can fry on it, cook in it, boil it. It's like, it's so versatile. So highly recommend this pot. And I do have an air fryer. Let's go over here next. So let's talk about the fridge freezer combo. And so this is the Bodega cooler, and it is a 12 volt. So it runs off the 12 volt system, and it works perfectly. I love it because it's got 2 compartments, and you can set them for either fridge or freezer, which is really nice. So I have it for freezer because iced coffee, I gotta have my ice. And then the refrigerator is a pretty good size for one person, 2 people if you shop every like 4 days maybe. It works just fine. Another thing to think about with your ice is get one with a cover on it, because then that way if you fill it up and then you have to take off and leave again, at least you know it has a cover on it so it won't go splish splashing all over the place. A little tip for you. And if you happen to burn your hand while you're on the road, a bag of frozen peas is always to the rescue. Ask me how I know. Okay, above the fridge freezer, we have my closet, which is kind of my pride and joy because I don't like folded t-shirts. I don't like wrinkly things, like wrinkly shirts and stuff. So it's important to me that I had a place to hang clothing. And so I opted to do this. I think it's 40 inches if I remember correctly. It, yeah, holds all of my shirts and some of my jackets. And it keeps everything, like I said, wrinkle free. I also can shove a bunch of other crap that probably shouldn't be in here, but is, which has been very beneficial. So I love this. I also put a mirror on this side so then I can actually like look at myself and know what's in my teeth or anything like that. And then let's talk about the cabinets. So Craig, I really got to give him all the credit for building the cabinets because I would never have been able to do this. These cabinets I freaking love. This one has all of my food in it. So this is essentially the pantry, if you will. And then he came up with this genius idea. It was so fast that he came up with it because I was like, how are we gonna, people talk about like those gas struts and stuff, but then they talk about what a pain in the butt they are to like install, and it's just, they're expensive. And yeah, he cut a piece of, I was like in awe. It's as simple as things, but like cut a piece of wood, put a screw in it. There you go. I was like, oh my gosh, can't get any simpler than that, and it works just fine. Super well. This basket housed all my snacks, so this was literally probably my favorite place in the van. And then this cupboard is my bathroom, essentially. So it has all my, you know, Q-tips and all face wash and all that crap that a girl needs, you know. Well, and a guy, he needs a toothbrush and toothpaste, maybe some shaving cream. All fits in there. All right, and then this cabinet houses all of my dishes. So, I mean, currently right now, it's kind of a mess, but it's got the most important part, which is my French press, and all of my coffee, things like that, some salt and pepper. And yeah, I actually opted to go with plastic dishes, which I don't think I would do that again. I think I would take the time to just have like regular plates like Corral or something like that, and then just put a piece of like, I don't know, something in between so they're not like, you know, shaking each other. But I did have these, and I used these for the few months that I was in Texas, and they worked fine. I just don't personally love eating off of plastic, but they are super cute. How adorable are they? Look at the plates. Oh, don't look at that. Oh, it's got cocoa spilled on it. Okay, van life. It looked like poop. Look, see the plate. That one has a bug on it. Okay, look how cute the plates are. Super cute. They're actually for kids at Target, but. All right, and then my mom gave me this spice rack, and I think it's super cute. She had all the stickers. She loves kitchen stuff and loves to be organized. And so she gave me this. I spray painted it white. I'm kind of regretting that now because I think I probably should have went with like copper or something. I don't know. I just feel like it looks like super like 1993, but whatever. My daughter made this banana hammock, which I obviously very much love. It held all my fruit. And then this rack down here, I just happen to have this shelf and this little piece in here from something different, but they fit together, and it holds my coffee beans. This is my kettle, actually. And yeah, salt and pepper. So, and I also spray painted that white. Craig just informed me of what another type of banana hammock is. So this is a fruit hammock, but it did hold my bananas. All right, so let's move over to the bed area. And first I want to show you this drawer that Craig built with his own hands. And it's on a slider, obviously. And it houses a bunch of different things. Honestly, it was kind of a media center. So for me, I put my books in here, and my electronics were all in here. And art supplies. So things like that. I did actually picture like, I think you also could put like a mirror on here, and like maybe have, if you're like super girly, you like makeup and stuff like that, maybe have this be the bathroom, and then like put a mirror, and I don't know, because you could put like a stool up here and sit at it. That was one thing I thought. And then you also could pull it out and use it for extra counter space if you needed it. I never needed any more counter space, but hey, you never know. Then the next thing down, I'm honestly super proud of. People get so weird about the toilet in the van. So like I read so many comments where people are like, oh my God, I can't believe your toilet is next to your sink, or I can't believe it's next to your kitchen. Hello, we're in like 100 square foot space here. The toilet's gonna be next to the kitchen no matter where you freaking put it. And then the other thing that drives me crazy is everyone's like, number one only, and only on emergencies. Like, guess what? I'm 50. I'm gonna use a freaking toilet, and I'd much rather use my own toilet than a public toilet if I can. So, but that's not the most exciting part. The most exciting part is that we put it inside of a cabinet that we built, and then it is on 500-pound sliders. And there's a reason for that. So we pull it out, and it snaps in place, and then I'll show you. So you put that up, and then this is your toilet. There's nothing in there, so don't be scared. It just, honestly, it's just a bag. I don't really know what kind of toilet. It's like a glorified bucket, essentially. You just put plastic bag in it, and then I put these like horse pellets in it. They're like for a horse stall, and they're pellets, and they help like soak up the urine or the poop or whatever. So sprinkle some of that in there, then your toilet's always ready to go. And then I have like wipes and toilet paper and bathroom supplies in there, things you would have normally in your bathroom. Oh, here's that stuff. So this is the pellets that go inside of a bag, and then just, yeah. And it does control the smell. I never had any smell in this van. And I have a good nose, so it works really well. So the cool part, then I got this like cute little rug from, honestly, Dollar Tree. And then it acts as a step to get up into the bed. But before I show you that, I'll actually tell you about these windows. So one of our favorite van lifers is Josie's Bus Off. Her YouTube channel, and she built out a bus, and she had little windows in it that close off her bed area. And Craig was like, that would be really cool if you had like windows in a van. I'm like, that would be cool. So one of the styles that we love is like French provincial or like cottage style, and so this seemed like it would just fit really well in the van. And so we installed 2 rails and then put these windows on it. And they open, obviously, so you can get into the bed. This one is stable, so it always stays here. But then this step actually acts as your step to get up into bed. All right, so something unique that I think that we did is we actually used a futon for the bed. And it's not just a futon mattress, it's like one of those futons that actually like folds, a futon couch, I guess. So it's got the cushion built into it, and then it folds flat. And it ended up fitting perfectly in this space. So it is like a twin bed essentially. And then we didn't have to cut it down or anything to fit in here, and it goes from the wall to the wall. So it worked out perfect. I did buy a 4-inch mattress topper on Amazon that fits right on top of that, which also worked really well, and it's super comfy. We ended up putting in 2 bunk windows, so one on either side, because if you watch a lot of van life videos, they all talk about how nice it is to have your max air fan running and then have your side bunk windows open, and it draws the air in and up through. And it's true. I can't imagine having a bed without having windows. You know, as a 50-year-old woman, I gotta have air. So they have screens built in, and they're super nice. And then Craig also built a cabinet above the bed, which holds all of my like pants and underwear and socks and things like that. And then the futon actually does fold up, so it could be a sofa. I think it's this end here that like folds up, so if you wanted to sit like on a couch and like look out the back doors, you could set it up that way. I never did it, and I honestly don't know if I ever would. now that I've lived in it, it's like, if it's just a bed and it's already made, I'm probably not going to unmake the bed in order to have a sofa. But it was a cool idea in, you know, theory. So something else I want to mention is these screens, which are the bug screens, and they're called Living in a Bubble. And they work really well. They're magnetic, so they just magnetize all around. They're made specifically for the RAM Promaster. And I got one for the back doors and then one for the side door. And I really love them. I did choose white because I was, you know, I've got this whole look going on, and white seemed like the best. Plus the van is white. I don't know if I would do that again, just because when they get stuck, like this one back here has gotten stuck in the door, and then, you know, there's grease like on the door, so now there's like grease along the bottom of it. So if it was black, you wouldn't really see that, but being white, you're gonna see everything that gets on it. So I guess that's my warning there. All right, so I think I've shared everything from the inside with you that I could think of. Let's head on out to the outside, and then I'll give you guys a short tour of the garage area. This is the garage. It's not pretty, but it is functional. So typically the way I would have this set up is, I normally don't have these all the way open like that. Have it like, you know, you could have it so that you have that closed all the way, and then that way it doesn't, you know, it kind of covers up your stuff and it doesn't look as bad. But if you want to be in the garage and you want to actually show people stuff, then yeah, have it open. So on this side is essentially storage, although we did utilize the space in the front of the floor section, and that's where the diesel heater is installed. And then in front of the diesel heater, Craig actually put a wall so that it would be more safe and nothing would be running into it. And so I just have, like, you know, bike helmet, I've got a hammock, I've got these risers that you can like park on in order to raise one side higher than the other if you need to. And then this is the tank for the diesel heater, and we definitely needed it to be obviously accessible to be able to easily, like, you know, fill up from a tank. So this worked out really well that he installed it right here. And then in the center section is essentially like a solar panel for one of the power banks that I have, and then all of my tools, my jacket for my paddleboard. And then over here, I've got 400 amp hours of batteries, so two 200 amp hour batteries, and then a Renogy charger, and on the roof I have 600 watts of solar. So the solar comes down, goes into the charger, and then charges the batteries. This system runs the entire 12-volt system through the camper van. So it runs the lights, the refrigerator, the diesel heater. We actually installed an AC unit. It's a 12-volt AC unit. It will run that. And then the max air fan. So everything that's essentially like built in to the van runs off of this 12-volt system. And then I also have in the front a power bank from EcoFlow that is a separate system that is actually connected to the alternator. So when I'm driving, that system gets charged. What that feeds into is the outlet in the kitchen. So all of like cooking, the appliances that I plug in runs off of the power bank, and then also like I charge my computer and like my laptop and my cameras and phone, and all of that stuff gets charged off the power bank. So essentially I have two separate systems. One is the 12-volt system that runs, you know, like I said, the lights and all the main things. Then I have the other system that is essentially used to charge all the devices. Whether that's a good idea that we did it that way or not, I don't know. I'm not an electrician. I just went down a rabbit hole, let's just say that. And I ended up doing EcoFlow power bank. It's a pretty large one. And I thought, well, this could be maybe be able to run everything. And then I don't even remember what happened, but it ended up that then I connected with Renogy and ended up just buying the Renogy system. And so I essentially ended up purchasing two electric systems and utilized both of them. I honestly, kind of part of me thinks it's a good idea because you have a backup. So like if something were to happen to this system, you still have a way to like charge your devices and You know, the Starlink is actually ran off of the power bank also. So, and then if something, you know, vice versa, if something happened to the power bank, you've still got the 12-volt system. However, I think what I would do in the future is also connect some sort of outlet to this 12-volt system. The only thing that we do have connected to this, as far as like an outlet goes, Craig installed a 12-volt cigarette lighter back here, and that, for that purpose, I use it to blow up my paddleboard, and then also for an electric blanket. So there is at least one of those installed back here. So then one of the things that I almost forgot to mention is my little library here. So I don't read a lot, but when I want to, I want my books. And this seemed like a perfect little place to, Craig just built a little box and then put all my like creative meditation and manifestation sort of things. What else do I got here? Tapping into wealth and USA National Parks. So yeah. Cute little nook. All right, so traveling by myself often, I was really very cognizant about security and very concerned about it, honestly. So there was quite a few things that I did just in order to have better security. And so one of them is I installed these stickers, and it says Canine in Vehicle, temperature controlled and monitored. Honestly, this idea came up because Milo was gonna be traveling with me, and I didn't want to like go into a store and then have someone think, oh my God, there's a dog in the vehicle, we need to save him. Like, I wanted them to know, like, no, this is like, he's monitored, he's fine, there's air conditioning, there's heat. He would have been fine no matter what. I mean, he wouldn't have been fine because he hates traveling, but he would have been fine. But then what we discovered was along the travels, a lot of people asked about this, and they were like, so what is it, military? Is that like police dogs? Or like, you know, they questioned just like, it brought a lot of attention, let's just say that, in the sense of people think that there are big scary dogs in there. And I think that that's good, right? Like, you want people to think that there's, I mean, yes, I have 5 German Shepherds in there. You want to come in and see them? No. All right, so then one of the other things that I did was installed a blink camera system. So there's 4 cameras on the rack on the top and each corner. The way that it works is you have to have Starlink internet or some sort of internet, and then you can have your Starlink on, then you turn on your blink system and you're able to basically check your cameras on your phone and see like what's going on around. You also could have it set to like give you warnings if there's something going on outside. I'll be honest and say I didn't end up using it a lot because it draws, well, the Starlink draws a lot of power. And so then if you're gonna have your Starlink on all the time in order to have your cameras on, you would be using up a lot of battery bank. And so I didn't do that. If I was traveling by myself, I think I'd be picky about when I ran the cameras. So I would save, like, make sure I have enough power bank to run the cameras at night. But like I said, then you have to have your Starlink on. So there could be a better camera system that where maybe you don't need to have your Starlink running or your internet running. Maybe they're just internet based themselves. I'm sure that there are other products out there. I think I just would have picked something a little bit different. Okay, then I'll show you one other security thing, and it's on the other side. Okay, so one of the other more simple things is just, I really wanted this hook, and then there's a little loop on the door, so when the door is shut, you can lock it that way. I don't know, security-wise, whether like it really would help or not, but it made me feel better, and sometimes that's all you need, is just to feel better yourself. So there's a couple other things that I forgot on the inside, so let's go head back in, and then I'll show you those pretty quickly. But one of the things that I did not show you was where we have the diesel heater, which is just kind of, like I said, it's installed, the main part of it's installed underneath the bed, but then it's got the pipe that comes out and faces this way, and that seems to work out just fine. And then the nice thing that worked out that I did not plan was underneath this vanity, there's perfect space for all my shoes. Like, that's where all of my shoes went. It works perfectly for me because I have smaller feet, but Craig's shoes don't really fit under here. So men's shoes, Might not be as useful for you, but it was super useful for me. And then the other thing that I forgot to talk about or show you guys was the storage for the bench. Duh. So take these off, and underneath this side is a little cabinet, and it is messy, but it's just got like my hiking backpack. It's got extra clothes, you know, a couple bottles of wine, toilet paper. Mainly necessities. So it's just extra storage, honestly, but it works out very handy dandy. And then on the other side is, okay, well, I'll just say that. Okay. And then on the other side is, which I cut this a little too tight, but that is the power bank that I was telling you about, and then the alternator charger. So the way that you can charge this is I do have a solar panel back there that connects to the power bank, so you can either do solar or you can run it off the alternator. But then the other way is we have a cord running outside of the bench, and you can actually just use an extension cord and plug into somebody's house outlet. So like 120, or is that 110? So 120, you could plug it in that way too. And charge it. We installed this window as well, which I really like, and the reason that we went with this one is that it is an awning style window, so that way the bunk windows in the back are just, you know, sliders, and so if it's raining, a lot of, you know, rain can come in there. I haven't really had any issues myself personally, but if rain was pouring down and splashing in, that could be a problem. So if you needed to have them closed, you could always have this one open even if it's raining outside. And I really love this window, like for sitting here in the morning, having my coffee, looking outside. And then my daughter and I actually made this curtain specifically for this window. And so I wanted it to kind of also have that like French kind of style look. It is insulated, and yeah, I'm just proud of it because we sewed it together, and I don't do sewing things. So then in the morning, you can just roll it up. Sometimes they talk about things in van life like taking longer, but I think if you think of it as like a ritual, so like every morning I would roll this up, and while my coffee's being made, and I would make my bed. And so like, yeah, the coffee took longer because I made French press, but it gave me the time to like make my bed and then roll this window up and kind of like clean up or whatever. And it was a really nice morning ritual that I had. So like, I would say that if you are doing van life, you're trying it and things are taking like longer, just appreciate those moments and like turn them into more of a ritual rather than like a, oh, I'm impatient and can't wait to get the day started. All right, well, hope that you enjoyed the tour. We've got important places to get to. So Sarah's closes in like 15 minutes, which is where we get ice cream. We've got important tasks to get done, so we must leave. Hope you enjoyed the tour. I know that we enjoyed sharing it with you, and we put a lot of work and effort into this van build. I'd love to hear what you guys think about it. Was there anything that stood out that you really liked, or anything that you were like, that was stupid, you could have done this better? Let us know in the comments, and we are off to get some ice cream. We'll see you later.